Well, hello there. My name is Tony Hendricks. I want to welcome you to this new edition of News and Views broadcast by Access LaPorte County, a public access TV channel. We are public opinion shows addressing national, international, and local issues. We will adhere to broadcast rules, but absolutely no one's First Amendment right of freedom of speech or freedom of the press will either be muzzled nor denied. Any unauthorized use, captions, or review of events of this program without express written consent of, I guess it's just Larry and Curly today, is strictly prohibited. We hope you enjoy the program and the participants. Dave's on special assignment again. We have lots to talk about, but we're going to let you start.
Okay, well, I thought I'd start out with something a little bit easy. I got it, somebody emailed it to me off a mailing list, so I'm not quite sure who it was, but I got a couple of those comments, and hey, this is really nice if we're getting these kind of comments from some unknown sources, and I thought I'd just mention them. Well, the first one was about Mount Baldy, and they were talking about the trails in the state of Indiana that you could hike, and basically what they talked about was the iconic trail, meaning the #1 trail in Indiana to hike, was the one at Mount Baldy. And they actually had in there that if you are a hiker, at least once in your lifetime, you ought to hike this Mount Baldy trail. That's kind of the neat type of comments that we need to get. Now, the next one that I got, again off somebody just off a mailing list, I'm not sure whose it was, dealt with the 9 things that you remember when you leave Indiana and think about coming back. And of course they had in there the covered bridges, they had basketball, they had a number of other things. Now, me being an Indiana University graduate, I would have had in there the gables at Indiana University, which is where about 100 years ago now, Hoagie Carmichael wrote Stardust, but that was not one of their 9. The 9th one they had in there was the beach at Michigan City, Indiana. So we're starting to get some good kinds of publicity, and I hope we can keep that up. I'm not sure what mailing list these people sent it to me off of, but that's great to hear that.
It's good to know that, and we are truly blessed. Believe me, you can go anywhere in the world, but our beaches and our water are the tops.
And then the last one I was going to comment on, there was an article came in about the state of Indiana pushing manufacturing bicycles in the state. And for years, we had a manufacturer here, but very few people knew about it. They just didn't push their name all that much. It was the Excelsior Bicycle Company. Now, if you go on the internet, you got to be careful to separate out the various ones, but Excelsior started up in the very early 1900s. Their main competition at that time was Indian, which later became a major motorcycle name, and Harley, which later became Harley-Davidson, an even more iconic motorcycle manufacturer today. But basically, Excelsior stayed with bicycles. I guess in the very early 20s, they did make motorbikes. They never got to motorcycles, but they did make motorbikes. But they were here from the early 1900s into the 1970s. They managed to hold on through the 20s, the Depression, World War II, the Korean War, and ultimately foreign manufacturers with cheaper bikes ultimately got to them, and that was too bad. But if you're going to look at bicycles and manufacturing bicycles in the state of Indiana, you also have to put Excelsior into that group.
Where were they at?
Right out here on the west side.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, an uncle of mine worked there. One of my friends worked there. Yeah.
Is it a pretty good sized building?
Yeah, they made quite a few bikes.
I know the name, but I didn't know they were from Michigan City.
You got to be careful because there's a couple of Excelsior names. One came out of Breton, and another one came out of Chicago, but they were slightly different in their names. But yeah, they lasted a long time.
So we want to go to some things that are happening, and we know we don't have the answer today, and we know we might be able to predict the answer, but this is an interesting subject, is the Bears.
Yeah, the Bears.
The Bears in Indiana and Illinois, because I saw an article, interview that Governor Pritzker, I think, in my personal opinion, has changed his tune. And he said specifically that he doesn't underestimate the power of the Bears moving to Indiana, which is where the Bears wanted to be. But Indiana His legislative session is in, and I believe it's ending February 27th. So this is February 13th, Friday the 13th. We tape. We won't see this till Monday, but that's only 2 weeks away. And they're having some negotiations down at the state legislative House or Senate and the governor. Now, they are 100%, and I think everyone in Indiana is 100% behind the possibility the Bears move into Indiana. That would be quite a boom to Indiana and quite a hit to Illinois. But the article here is from Marek Mazurek. He is from the Indiana Business Journal. Again, the Indiana Business Journal is a very good website. You have to pay. There are some ways to get it cheaper if you sign up for a year. It's pretty neat. I probably look at it 3 times a month. Very good site. It gives you the insight into the legislative, what's happening downstate. But the Bears and the state, the offer I understand now is a 35-year lease, and Indiana would pay $3.5 billion to have the Bears move here. And that's quite a good deal.
Yeah.
That they would come here, because Illinois is not offering them. The governor and everyone says we are not offering to build them a stadium. Ain't no way, no how. But they are trying to get them, I believe, to give them the infrastructure and utilities for about $834 million last I checked. The interesting thing about this whole negotiation with Indiana and the Bears in Illinois, which I think is a horrible way to negotiate, is that Indiana is telling the Bears in this article, that's Indiana Business Journal, that they have no later than February 27th to make a decision. Well, I think Illinois has more time than that. Illinois' legislature is in session. I think they have another 2 or 3 months. So why wouldn't Illinois just drag this out until after February 27th and tell the Bears that, hey, sorry, Indiana's not in the mix anymore. You're not getting nothing from them. We're not giving you anything either.
Well, to me, one of the things that the Bears look at and need to look at, and it would be for the long term, is the land that they will receive and what can you build in terms of a stadium on that land. Because basically in this day and age, where sports teams, especially football teams, make their money is in these large skyboxes. And you've got to be able to go up 3, 4 stories, maybe more, in order to have enough of those skyboxes. And people from all over are willing to rent those skyboxes. It's the same thing you see at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, at NASCAR in Florida. People are willing to rent for big prices those skyboxes, and that's where one of the places where they make their money. So I got a feeling that one of the things that the Bears will take into consideration will be the surrounding area of that stadium. What's the weather like? What is the underground formations like? Can we put up that kind of a stadium? And they will need to do that. Now, I have somewhat the same idea that Tony does. I never thought that the Bears would come here, but I thought it was great that we got into a discussion with them. Because ultimately, I think the team that we might be able to get would be the Chicago White Sox. The White Sox are not doing that well financially. There's nobody there to really help them. And to be honest about it, they're kind of in the same situation that Jim Irsay was, who was the owner of the Baltimore Colts at the time, when he moved the Colts to Indianapolis. Because Indianapolis and the state of Indiana made him a nice offer. That allowed him to be able to have the kind of stadium that he needed to compete with the other teams. The White Sox are going to need a new stadium if they want to compete with the Cubs. Because right now it's the Cubs that's taking most of that money in Chicago. There's a few old diehard Sox fans left over on the south side, but if you put this stadium close to Interstate 95 or 94, the toll road, it'll be easier to get to. And right now, as I understand it, one of the land areas that they're looking at for the Bears is in Porter, Indiana, or right outside of Porter, Indiana. In Porter County, it's something like 324, 342 acres, and apparently would be very solid land to put a stadium on.
That's no pun intended. That's out of left field. I talked to Bob. I didn't see that one coming, but he's 100% right. Just because the Bears are looking at Indiana opens up huge possibilities.
Yes,
huge possibilities that we don't see. These guys deal in billions of dollars.
Yeah.
And obviously they're using Indiana or anyone they can to get Illinois. I was wrong, 834 million is 855 million that they want from Illinois to improve their utility and their infrastructure. And Illinois doesn't lose in that if they give that to them. They improve just like we did up, Michigan City just did up on Tryon Road. We put a bunch of infrastructure in. Even if the facility doesn't happen, they still own the infrastructure, and it's still there in the ground. So it's not a loss for them. It's a pretty easy political sell. But I want to go back to the Bears and any stadium for that matter. So the article says that I think it was $3.5 billion they would enter into a lease, and they would build them a stadium, which is a lot more than $855 million. And a comment, the comments are always great, and this is a comment off of the article at the Indiana Business Journal. This person obviously did some more digging that I didn't know, that when the Colts came here, and the Colts, they played in the Hoosier Dome for a while,
Yeah.
and then we built them a new stadium. But supposedly, Indiana's apparently offering, these are the comment section of this, Indiana's apparently offering essentially a Colts deal of 100% taxpayer-funded stadium with a lease term that does not match the outstanding debt term. So they're going to lease them the stadium back to pay back the money to build it. But supposedly the Colts lease doesn't match the outstanding debt term. So your lease is up and there's still debt. And this says the Colts lease will terminate in early 2030. We know the Colts, they do pretty good, but you know they're I would say they're probably in the same game as the White Sox. You know, they have a limited audience, and they're not like the Bears or the Green Bays or the Pittsburgh, or you know, they don't have that kind of following. So now we're going to offer the Bears the same kind of deal that we are offering, that we gave to the Colts when the Colts moved here, because they were in the same situation and they moved here to look at a better audience and a better deal. We lured them in, and we have the Colts, which is good. So Chicago taxpayers still owe $600 million for the 2003 renovation of Soldier Field that they want to leave. This is got so convoluted, but again, I think the negotiation is poor on everyone's side. I think the Bears have the best negotiation tactics. They knew they were in behind the eight ball, and they had to do whatever it took, because I think they obviously know, not just skyboxes, but everything that surrounds the complex makes them money. The Cubs did a very good job starting expanding their complex and making money around theirs.
I don't want to interrupt Tony, but that's what Ricketts did that owns the Cubs.
Yeah.
He created Wrigleyville. Go ahead.
Yeah, Wrigleyville, and he starts capturing that money when it comes near into the Cubs. And I think the Bears see they have an iconic brand. They have a very loyal sports group that follows them. And they want to create that whole complex too in Arlington Heights. I think Arlington Heights is going to be the place. Or worst case scenario, that's why I think the Bears are in the best negotiation place at either one against Illinois or Indiana. Worst case scenario, they do some more renovations to what they have.
That's going to be difficult.
And they get rid of the $600 million debt that they're supposedly have to pay. Or they renegotiate the lease. I say that because Indiana in this article told them February 27th is the date that you got to decide, which is going to go. B, the Bears are doing good.
Yeah.
They did very good this year. Better than I ever thought. Believe me, I thought ain't no way. They did good. I think they'll do even better next year with the coach they have and the people they have and the new people they're getting. They might be a Super Bowl team next year. And that's when the Bears wanted to push hard on the negotiation. I think they are sitting in the driver's seat for the negotiation. How much will they get now? And if it's something they don't like in Illinois, they'll just say, okay, we'll just hold back and wait. Wait till next year. If we go to the Super Bowl, you're going to change your tune. And you're going to give me more of what I want. Because they're not in any hurry. They have a lease till 2030. So they could wait another year or two to solidify this and build this new stadium and get out of lease in 2030. The Bears are sitting in the catbird seat here. Indiana has done great in supporting the Bears. I like that we might get something else out of this. If some other team wants to come here, they know that we are willing to pay them and pay the money. And Illinois is sitting in the worst part of this negotiation. They need the Bears. Chicago needs the Bears. They don't have any money. Illinois, the governor's already came out. They are short hundreds of millions of dollars in their budget. But come next year, when the Bears are probably better and maybe Super Bowl, the Bears will have a better negotiation skill with everything they want. And they'll probably get everything they want. I think they'll take Arlington Heights. I thought it was the Cubs, but I think you're right. It's not the Cubs. They'll take Arlington Heights, and I think they'll put the Bulls, the Blackhawks, and the White Sox in there.
They can do that.
They'll put all four of those in that complex.
Yeah,
they utilize that whole area year-round, and they extract as much money as they can into that area. And maybe Chicago, because I understand the governor and the mayor of Chicago are not usually on the best speaking terms and thinking the same thing. Maybe the governor of Illinois wants to put a little hurt on the city of Chicago and say, well, you lost the Bears. You guys better shape up, because now you might lose the Blackhawks, the Bulls, and the White Sox. Then where are you going to be? Because you guys aren't, you're not playing ball, no pun intended, like you need to get Chicago to be the premier city it can be. And this is going to be, I think we'll know by February 7th with Indiana. We'll know in the next 3 to 4 months how these negotiations start working out. But my guess is the Bears can play the long game here and wait.
When you say the long game, 3 or 4 years, but the Bears really don't have much time beyond that.
Yes.
But if they go to Arlington Heights, what you're talking about is very possible. If you just look at how colleges put their athletic stadiums together, they will have the football field, then they will have the basketball stadium, which quickly converts to a hockey stadium. They've learned that. Use both. You use that stadium for both. You just got to set your schedules up right. So as a result of that, Arlington Heights does make sense. But in Indiana, with all that land, that also makes a lot of sense. And it allows the Bears to make sure that they can build the kind of stadium they need. And the guy that actually probably developed this, and the NFL is a copycat type system, is Jerry Jones, when he built the stadium in Texas. He uses it for various other things, but he's got a stadium that holds thousands and thousands of people, but more importantly, thousands of people in skyboxes paying $100,000 sometimes to get one of those skyboxes at a crucial game.
Okay, a couple things. The skyboxes, and I believe this is in Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Not only are just rented out for the races, some of those skyboxes are owned like townhomes and condominiums. And I think we have to look at, it's a great thing. You don't redevelop, you don't reinvent the wheel. Somebody's already done it, just copy them. We just have to look at Las Vegas, what they did, and their sports complex, which really expanded off of Jerry Jones's whole system, and they got their team and everything around them. Now I think we're going to see, here's my prediction, I think Bob's 100% right. We are going to see the White Sox take this whole playbook and play it again in Indiana. And probably the Bulls and probably the Blackhawks. But that's fine, because we talked before. Just talking about Indiana brings millions of dollars in fees and services that they have to spend here to make it look like they're really looking. And we'll take the money.
Oh, yeah. No, it's been good for us, but it could be a lot better if things go right. And I think probably we will come up with something for the long term. The other thing about the White Sox, then they can build around it also. They can look at the same stadium situation for the Bulls and the Blackhawks that the Bears are looking at in Arlington.
And I think that's what's going to happen in Arlington Heights. It's good for Indiana to start looking at these things and talking about these things, especially downstate, so we could maybe have a professional team. Indiana doesn't have a professional baseball team. In college, I had to do a discussion in a paper on why Indiana doesn't have a baseball team and who should get it first, Florida or Indiana. Well, we know Florida got it, but we don't have one of these. But these people are going to look at sports complexes that not only just have places to go see a venue and seats you get tickets from, but places that people own and live and have condos and townhomes that are secondary to be skyboxes. And they'll live there the whole year, so they get to see concerts and events because they own it.
Yeah.
And that was the new wave that Jerry Jones started, that Las Vegas hit on, that Indianapolis Motor Speedway hit on. Why have this? Why buy a ticket or a skybox for one event or 3 events a year? Why not just have them live here? I got everything around here. They can go to the store, they go to the restaurants, they can live here. It's safe, it's secure, it's a complex. And you know what? It gives you pretty good notoriety that I have a townhome or a condo at Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Yeah. Well, those people don't need to advertise it. Everybody already knows it.
Well, they're friends, and you could come see me and watch the Bears game because
Yes.
at my house. Literally.
The other thing we failed to mention is when we talk about the land, assuming that they're going to build a dome stadium, and if they're going to be in the north, they're probably going to build a dome stadium.
Yep.
You've got to make sure that the land will support that type of building because those dome stadiums weigh a huge amount. They're into the multi-tons.
Oh, we engineer around that. Believe me, I've seen some pretty deep pilings, some structural strength on some of the worst soil.
Okay.
It just costs money. You just throw more money at it. You know what? They'll drive pilings 80, 90 feet. They don't care. They'll pour concrete structures down 30, 40 feet to support it. They don't care. It's just how much money you got and how much support do you need. They'll do it.
If it's okay with Tony, maybe we could change topics just a little bit. Obviously, the situation with utility fees has come up big time. The city council's talking about it. So is everybody in the state of Indiana.
And me and you.
And Tony and I. I guess the thing we're going to have to look at is there's really no short-term solution for this. There is what I would call a long-term solution. Now, by the short term, I mean in the next year or two. But I think there is a long-term solution that we could look at. There's 2 ways we could go. But number one, the thing that would help the most, and I've been for this for quite a while, but I see one of the city council people, Nancy Molnauer, has also mentioned this, is take the sales tax off of utilities. Now, by utilities, what I'm talking about are the ones that are absolutely necessary. Heat, light, water, and sanitation, or heat, light, water, and sewer. Those are, to have a decent place to live, you have to have those. It's just probably as important as getting the right food and getting the right medication, in which case we don't charge sales taxes on those situations. I'd like to see that happen. Long term, we either got to think about somehow, well, we got to think about somehow getting connected with nuclear energy. Now, when I say that, we somehow got to think about how do we get connected with a major nuclear energy producer, and I happen to be in favor of AEP, but for full disclosure, I have 250 shares of AEP, so a long time ago I thought this was going to be a good buy, and it turned out to be that way.
Yeah.
But their rates, first of all, they are already in northern Indiana and in eastern LaPorte County. So it's not a shift in terms of coming into Indiana, not a shift in terms of coming into LaPorte County. It's just, will they add more space? They're going to have the nuclear power energy to do this. Their rates are, I would call, use an accounting term, materially lower because of their nuclear energy than NIPSCO. Now that's in the electric part. That doesn't take care of the gas situation, which is a totally different situation. Now, the other factor of that is these small nuclear reactors. Do we take a look at somehow NIPSCO being able to buy, manufacture, somehow get small nuclear reactors that they can place in critical situations, and thus, because of their lower cost, lower our utility cost? I'm not a good enough engineer to be able to figure that one out, but I know that in Indianapolis, they are starting to look at these energy sites where they actually reconvert the energy that was used back into, again, usable energy, which in the long run has to be a cost savings.
Yeah, the spent fuel rods.
Yeah.
They're out there, out west in caves, and we can bring them back up. I'm glad the city, and I don't know if they passed a resolution against it or sent it downstate, which I'm happy that the city, the county, and the city of LaPorte all do. But at some point, they're just resolutions and they don't hold much weight. But I did see the interesting thing. I saw on I-94 there's a billboard now about solar power.
Yeah.
So people under the capitalistic market we live in has understood now that there's so many people upset about their utility bills, which are expensive, $800, $900, $1,200 a month. And maybe they could get them to subsidize that instead of paying that to NIPSCO, pay that to their own solar generation panels on their house or wherever they are. A company has realized there's an opportunity. And there are some good companies in Indiana, Rensselaer, or some other areas that, and you go out and you drive around anywhere in South County, you'll see a lot of farmers have solar in each one of their little areas. And they're putting solar in because they realize the payoff, they were told, again, about 8 years, is looking about 4 or 5 years. And if you look at that, that's one way that we can A, control our own destiny, B, force them to do a better job at producing their power or finding a better way to produce lower cost power. So today, and I've said this before, I have solar in my house. I was looking at my phone. I could look at that live, what my solar is producing. It was a good sunny day today. It wasn't the warmest, but it was a very sunny day today. So today, my solar power created 29 kilowatt hours. I used 10.9 kilowatt hours. Now, I'm still under the system that they bank my solar for me. So I had 19 kilowatt hours that I made today that I didn't use. That goes a long way. That keeps my utility bill down. So right now the legislature, and I haven't checked up where they're at it, they were going to change some laws that allow us to buy electricity from other providers. And if we could buy power from AEP that was, say, 30% cheaper,
Yeah.
then we would it would just came from the same place our home, but we're paying AEP and we pay NIPSCO a transportation charge. Again, A, that gives us a better price. B, that gives NIPSCO a desire to maybe find a way to produce lower cost electricity because everyone just bought it from AEP and they lost customers. That's something I think that we can, that's a short-term solution that the legislature could pass this session. They could change that by July 1st is the day they'd sign it, goes into power, and we could start putting some pressure on NIPSCO to do a better job, find a lower electricity rate. I think small nuclear reactors, if you really wanted to be bold, and Michigan City probably could do this with the casino money we have, if you wanted to invest something that would produce a future generation investment for Michigan City, maybe we have our own small nuclear reactor. We have it. Just like when Michigan City had its own cable lines. And we rented them out and sold those to run cable. We installed those ourselves. Maybe we have our own. And we control our own destiny that, hey, we're producing our own power because that could go for 100 years. And the spent fuel rods, since we are government, I'm sure the government would let us take those from the caves and bring them over here and use them. Maybe we could find a place somewhere in Michigan City that's safe to put this. And we don't have to buy it from anybody. We'll pay the transportation charge. It'll still go through this. Electricity is electricity. It goes wherever you want it to go.
Well, you got to put up the lines to do it, but yes.
Well, we could use the lines that NIPSCO owns, and we'll pay them for the transportation.
Right.
But the rate for electricity, and then everyone would, that would be one heck of a kudo to any administration that said, we're enough. We hear you. We hear you $1,200 is too much for electric bill. It's not going to do it anymore. And I think even, and just, we're going to go right back to the bears here. Even if Michigan City or any municipality or the county said we're serious about doing a small nuclear reactor for their area, because I think LaPorte County could have its own small nuclear reactor and service everybody. You know what the utility companies would do? They'd have the fear of God in them. They'd be like, and they'd be serious. We'd have to pay somebody to do an engineering. We'd have to pay for the development, the design, the siting, see how this is going to work. I would say even permit the thing. Go through that, through all the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission. We permit this thing. I guarantee you, we wouldn't get to the final permit before all these utilities would change their tune dramatically. Because they would know it's all gone. They would never let us get to the point of building this in the city, the county, or LaPorte City, or Michigan City. They would see the writing on the wall, and I guarantee you, they would find a way to make their utility bills a little less.
Well, I like Tony's idea, but the one problem that I could foresee would be, I'm not sure that we have enough trained people in the nuclear area to be able to handle a lot of this. And I can see people out there trying to do this on their own, or
Oh, yeah.
with somebody who.
Well, we have the Cook and we have Palisades just north of Michigan. And we could consult with them. We could hire those people. They've been doing this for 50 years, 50 plus. We could bring those people, and that's why I say you have to get serious, not just in the permitting, the design, the engineering, the consultants. They all have to be lined up. You're going to spend some money. I'd say you're going to spend at least $1 million to make this application and this serious proposal with who's going to run it, because that's the first thing.
Yeah.
The utilities are going to come after you double barrel. Like, you don't know how to run this. You're going to cause a Chernobyl. You don't know what you're doing. You can't do this.
Well, not only are they going to come after us, they're going to hire the people that know how.
Yeah, they'll hire the people. But if we set it up that it looks like, hey, we're serious, we got the right people here, we can make this happen. We have the money. We have the ability to pay for this and build this. We have the permits. We have the blessing from the IURC. Guys, the next step for us is to actually do this, and we hope you would lower our utility rates, find a way. Now, this has happened before in my industry, and the people and developers I know, they have done a project, not in electrical or gas, but they've done projects in other areas that serve municipalities, and they have a privatized setup development, and they permit it. They actually start building it. You know who comes in? Oh, the utility person would come in and say, listen, we know you're serious because you're actually building this thing, and it's really going to hurt our wallet. Well, how about we just buy this from you, and we'll give you whatever, 10, 20, $100 million, and then we'll own it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's their second move. And if Michigan City, say Michigan City or the County of LaPorte or LaPorte City did this, and they came to them, and we actually started building this small nuclear reactor, and we had it all set up, the rail, the rods were coming. There's a date, the rods are going to come, we're going to turn this thing on. They would come to Michigan City and say, listen, we know now you're serious. We know now we're going to have to pay you a lot of money. So how much money we're going to pay? Michigan City, if they did it, would say, all right, we're willing to talk, but this is what we want. We can produce X amount of power. It's more than Michigan City needs, so as Michigan City residents who paid for this, we want our power to be 1/10 the price of anyone else. And you can sell it to whoever you want. You can make the money. We'll take the money. We'll take your buyout, but we want to be protected. And that's how industry and commercial development and investors work. And if Michigan City was, at a minimum, again, just like the Bears, to make a real push at saying we're going to do this, things would change. Our bills, it's not just a resolution in the council, our bills would actually go down. They would go to the IURC and say, we'd like to lower the rates for Michigan City because we don't want to take all that power away from us.
Yeah, no, that's very possible, I agree.
And sorry, whether you like Trump or not, we have a president that does that. His whole life was doing that. Whether you like what he does or not, he's a businessman, and that's what he does.
He likes to negotiate, that's for sure. And he's been very successful.
He negotiates those down. So is that all you need on there?
What's that?
The interesting thing out of the article I found today.
Well, let me do this quickly, because basically we've got some very good reports coming out on a national basis. First one came out I think it was Tuesday, and we found out that we added 134,000 jobs in our economy when the estimate was for 75,000.
That was the high estimate.
Okay.
Most estimate was like 35 or 40.
Oh, okay. Well, there was one that said basically half, 50% of that, so I just made it 75. Okay. So as a result of that, the next thing you have to do is take a look at what components were in there. The two biggest ones, medical/social, which means that we're hiring more people to do work in the hospitals, to do home treatments and this type of thing. And we're also, the next biggest one was construction, which means that we're putting up buildings that will ultimately probably turn into factories or warehouses, which are going to have to hire people in order to maintain them. And that's
what kind of buildings are we putting up? That's pretty easy. data centers.
What's that?
Data centers.
Oh, data. Well, yeah, we're doing that too.
You look at one of those, they're huge.
Well, yeah, but we're also building industrial buildings.
Uh-huh.
That's the ones that are going to hire people. It's the data
And
centers.
create the economy.
It's the data centers that'll pay the taxes. It's the industrial buildings that'll put people to work and pay salaries. That's what I liked about that. Now, on the inflation situation, Consumer Price Index came out, I believe, yesterday. And for the month of January, now this is a year-over-year basis, so we're going from January to January, the rate of inflation was 2.4%. It was estimated to be 2.5%, which means that, because this is on a year-over-year basis, inflation overall is coming down. That's a positive for this economy. And I don't have it down because I just heard it on the way out, but apparently salaries grew at a rate of 5.4%. which means that we're doubling the amount of money people are earning over the rate of inflation increase.
The information I read that report, the best part of all these reports that have come out in the last year are these are American workers, not foreign workers.
Yeah.
These are American people getting these jobs in whatever industry they are. It's very, very heartwarming to see that we have better jobs, better pay, and we have manufacturing industrial buildings coming into the United States to control our own destiny. It's very heartwarming. And I guess that brings us to the article I saw. I don't know how much time we have, but we talked about casino discussion down at the state. And the casino, what was it down? The
Rising Sun.
The Rising Sun at the southeast part of the state is not making money. It's making a little money, but it's not making the money they need to run.
The state is not getting the taxes they would like.
The state is not getting the money they would like. Just like Michigan City is having a hard time and their dips in revenues from Blue Chip. So they are discussing about what to do with that, because I understand the Rising Sun was the person that asked the state if they could move to a market that makes more money, which gives Indiana more money. And that market is Fort Wayne. Northeast. They're going to move all the way from the southeast to the northeast. Well, everyone's jumping in, and I said it before, and I hope our state senators and our state representatives take part in this discussion and say, yes, we'll support you, but we want something too. We would like to move Blue Chip off of Trail Creek, and we could use Trail Creek as, like you said, cabalers or something else, and put them over, maybe over by the old prison. Get them a land-based casino and a whole. This show is going to be the whole complex. We could have our complex over here of a casino and a hotel and a water park and stores and restaurants in open ground that we have ready on the west side. So right now the way it sets, oh yeah, there's the Rising Star Casino, Las Vegas-based Full House Resorts, which owns the Rising Star Casino in Ohio County. They were lobbied last year to let them move to Fort Wayne. And other people are just saying, wait a minute, if we're going to support this, we want something. Wayne County in Indiana wants something. And people are discussing how they want to do this, and they're kind of in a mix about how to do this.
I thought Wayne County is close to Fort Wayne, isn't it? I think,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
So they're
probably just out of the loop.
Yes, they're just out. They want to have the opportunity to be in.
Yeah.
They don't want to be left out. So the state is looking at this, obviously, because they want the money. And I didn't know this. A proposal for a new casino, the application fee for a new license is $50 to $250 million. Just the application to apply for a casino. So they're talking big money. These people, if they just want to apply, have to pay $50 to $250 million. So now they don't know where they're going to go with this thing. And Indianapolis thinks they want something. Fort Wayne wants something. Iowa, again, I hope our state senators and our representatives want something too. I'm sure Northwest Indiana will want something. I'm sure down Southern Indiana wants something. And we all should get something for letting the Rising Star move, hopefully to Northeast Indiana, where they can generate more revenue, which it generates more tax funds for the state of Indiana.
Yeah.
Because we see it here in Michigan City. I think Blue Chip has run its course. They've done the best they can with the site they have. They need to have the opportunity to go to a land base. I drive by 94, I see Hard Rock in Gary, which is doing great. I think it's one of the highest revenue casinos in Indiana. It's doing really good. We need that opportunity in Michigan City so we can get more of the revenue that we've seen passed, and the mayor has talked about this. The revenue stream is slowly depleting, and at some point, Michigan City needs to do something. Here we are.
Well, the key now is shows like they do in Las Vegas. And when you have these land-based casinos, you got to have auditoriums big enough to bring in the kinds of shows that will attract people to come in. I know at one time, Blue Chip brought in Leanne Rimes, Wayne Newton, and a number of others. And I haven't seen them do this lately. The one that tends to do it is the Four Winds Casino in New Buffalo. They tend to bring in talent like that. Now, how much you make off of that after you pay that kind of talent, I'm not sure.
Well, I drive by Hard Rock and they have a billboard. Oh, that billboard's so bright, it lights up all the way 94. But they have a lot of good talent and music performances coming in there that Michigan City doesn't do. Here's the article says, a study commissioned by lawmakers last session deemed Northeast Indiana a top site for a casino. It determined that a gambling operation near Fort Wayne could yield $61 million in taxes per year and $204 million in gross revenue. So $61 million in taxes per year. Michigan City is getting what? 7, 8, 9 million now. We used to get 10, 11, 12. Fort Wayne is looking at 61 million. If Michigan City could just get back to 11 or 12, we'd be happy. If we could get to 20, and I think we need a land-based casino with shows and a complex and restaurants and hotel, and again, I'm going to say water park that keeps the whole family there because, again, we started Lake Michigan's beautiful. Some of the clearest crystal water you can have, sand, but it's not the best weather. Even in the heavy summer, the dense summer, you get some really cold air. You get some really windy times that you want to be out there with some undertow. So someplace, if people come to Michigan City for a week or a long weekend, and the beach is not the best place to be because it's too windy, they go over to the water park and stay there and spend money there because we want them to spend money while they're here and not just leave upset that they didn't get to enjoy the beach.
Well, the water park situation, that can be done in conjunction with a hotel, or it could be done on its own with the city taking care of that type of a situation, probably close to the beach itself. At one time we had a water park, a small water park, in the old tennis courts at Washington Park. That didn't turn out too well. But we're going to have to figure out how we handle that type of thing. But the biggest thing we're going to have to figure out is what do we do between January 5th and April 5th in Michigan City. We have a down period like you wouldn't believe. So we're really talking 3 months. 25% of the time, if you are dependent on the visitors coming in, the travel industry, you have got a problem because we don't generate that many people coming in. I haven't really seen any top-notch ideas, but I think there probably are some that we could figure out. Maybe a casino would figure something like that out as to how they attract people. So to me, that's our biggest single problem in terms of attracting people in on a vacation-type basis or on a play-type basis.
Yeah, that's a huge hole in any restaurant or store's year in their revenues, is that 3 months. A water park, maybe we get NIPSCO to leave, that would be a great location for a water park. And the whole NIPSCO campus, where we already have, we're right next to the National Lake Shore. You can enjoy the National Lake Shore and Mount Baldy, especially if just across the street and down the road you have a whole complex of hotel, casino, restaurants, shopping. That's an amazing, our west side is the jewel that we once had that we could have again.
Well, I've said this before, Dave I don't think agrees with me, but you're going to have to get sanitary and storm sewers out on the west side.
Oh, that's easy.
We haven't been able to do it in 200 years. Okay,
With this kind of money, that's easy. Because we have an outlet. We have a ditch that goes right through the dunes. We have an outlet. I think it's the most underutilized outlet in Northwest Indiana. That water, you can walk down the beach, go to Mount Baldy and start walking west. You probably won't even notice it. You'll probably walk right across this and like, what's that? Oh, that's the outlet to everything on the west side of Michigan City. All the way up from 400 and Jmar Ruby. All that water comes through there, the Monon, the Strebel Pond, everything goes through that. And we walk, you'll be amazed. You'll think I'm crazy when you walk over that little stream there in the sand and be like, that's it? Yeah, that's it. You can actually walk across it.
I got to find out how much this is going to cost. We've been trying to figure this out.
Oh, we could throw $500 million at it.
Oh, okay.
Sewer, water, build. I mean, I think if you threw $100 million at it, you'd get everything. But we wouldn't have to pay. If we had a casino complex at the prison, they would happily pay to make the sewer and water work and clean up the Kinsel drain and let it go. They would probably even pipe it. I mean, I work at the Marquette Mall's getting rehabilitated, and God bless Ton and Blank. Great that they jumped into that. The Marquette Mall, which I didn't realize, drains south across Highway 20 all the way through the old Kmart. Well, now that whole complex, if you drive down that road by Sonic, it's kind of like a windy road.
Yeah.
That's why. That used to be, and still is, a legal drain today. It's just piped. It's a huge stormwater pipe. And you can see that pipe if you go out to Ohio Street and see that pipe underneath the road by the bakery. That's how big a pipe that is. And I think any developer would happily pay to make sure all that system works from Strebel Pond, which would make Dave happy, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It would make it flow.
Sure about that.
It would make it flow all the way through there, out to Lake Michigan in a very controlled release manner, a very safe environmental manner, and we would fix all the storm sewer. The sanitary sewer is tougher, right, because that's the original sanitary, but I think we would have a sanitary sewer treatment area, which today's world, I would say 10 million tops would you get you to that sanitary treatment plant, and they would pay for their own infrastructure, because we just talked about that. The Bears want Illinois to pay $855 million for their infrastructure costs. Now that's sewer, storm, water, and utilities. That's almost $1 billion. So again, if somebody came in like that, I don't think the casino, when they're pulling down the kind of money they do, would willing to pay.
The casino right now is not making enough.
No, the casino now wouldn't. But I guarantee you, if the legislature allowed them to move, and we made an area, I don't know what you call it, a TIF or an improvement district area. I think it's
I think it's in a TIF district.
I think we would have to call it an improvement improvement district area. We could capture that money, the taxes, and they would build it. They would pay the money, and they would get that relief through tax relief in 10, 20 years. So it sounds like a lot of money, $500 million. It's a lot of money to us, but for them, they were going to have to pay it anyways, and we give them tax relief ongoing to pay for that, while we still increase our revenues that Blue Chip's not getting now. And for any future, I don't see Blue Chip. Well, how would they expand their facilities other than another area? But they can't expand their casino facilities because those, by law, I think, are on the creek. So they're kind of stuck in that boat. And you look at it, it's still a boat. They're stuck in that boat.
They would have to go across. They would have to build some kind of a bridge across to get to Michigan Boulevard for an incoming traffic.
Yeah.
That's about the only way. That would come across where we currently have an open area that's kind of a site that was torn down, and it would also probably involve the Sprague Marina at Michigan Boulevard. You'd have to put a bridge across it. Which, by the way, historically we've done.
We took bridges out.
Yeah, we took a couple of bridges.
East Street Bridge.
Yeah.
That was a really cool bridge too. Everyone didn't get to see it. That was a really neat bridge. But yeah, I mean, there's an opportunity right there. If Blue Chip says by law we have to keep our slot machines and our gambling machines on the water, we could just put a bridge on the boulevard, and they could dig a channel all the way over through the old memorial site, and guess what? That floating barge structure is still on the water.
Yeah.
And they could expand their whole casino operations even closer to downtown. And that opened up many opportunities for them and everyone surrounding them, because that brings water closer to them, and the water district in Indiana allows more liquor licenses.
There's the Blank Management Group site on Center Street. The building's been torn down. I have no idea on who owns it or who bought it, but somebody paid to take the building down. Maybe it was Blank Management Group that didn't want to pay the property taxes for the building.
Yeah, I don't know where that's at, because we had that ongoing discussion with them and the building, and I think the city forced them to tear it down for it's safe. But we had that ongoing discussion because we wanted them to move, and rightly so, off of the creek because it's too valuable for townhomes and condos and development. And we weren't giving them enough money to move somewhere else to run their operation. So I think we're still stuck in that, and we shouldn't be. I know it's not right and it's not fair, but that alone, that's a whole nother corridor. You talk about a corridor, and we seem to think in our minds that Michigan Boulevard is a brick wall we can't cross. We could cross it.
Oh yeah.
We could put a bridge. It's not hard. A nice, long, tall bridge on the boulevard. Even if it's not tall, because we're not going to put any boats in there, we could still connect a harbor for Blue Chip to have an operation that's a barge that's wider, taller, more casino, more event operations, while they still connect, hopefully, to downtown and grow our downtown.
We haven't heard anything about this lately. Senate Bill 1, which had a lot of situations to do with property taxes. I've heard that it's going to be a positive in terms of reducing property taxes. I know that there are some city concerns about, and maybe some school city concerns about, loss of revenue as a result of that. What have you heard? Anything?
Senate Bill 1 was a tough pill to swallow, right? Really cut to the bone, cut past the bone. I think we needed it. But now they are discussing, maybe we cut too deep because people are suffering and school systems are suffering, which we do not need. The cities cannot provide the services which we ask them to. So I don't know what's going to come out. I think there's 3 bills that are just, they're probably this thick, of lots of stuff in them. The last I heard, the discussion was township trustees and township boards that they think we don't have to do with, but that's got to be a tiny, tiny amount of money compared to how much money Senate Bill 1 took away from everybody, because I think now we tighten our belts. If they give us more money back, then maybe we can, a little more money back would give us a lot more opportunity, because we've now cut what we needed to cut. So we'll see what happens. I don't know if anything much will happen this session. I think they'll wait another year for the full budget, but I don't think they'll be cutting anymore, because Senate Bill 1 was a deep, deep cut.
Well, the next legislative session, I got a feeling is going to have one big one, which is going to be the redivide of the congressional jurisdictions. That's going to be on the agenda. We, like a number of other states, Texas and Florida, are certainly the children of the migration that we're seeing in this country, which is that basically a middle class moving out of states like New York, New Jersey, California into Texas, Florida, Tennessee, and actually Indiana starting to get some part of that coming out of Illinois. And as a result of that, the number of people in a congressional district has significantly increased in certain areas, so you're going to have to redo those congressional districts, and I think that's going to be one of the big topics.
What's your prediction on redoing that? Because my understanding of what happened when they voted not to redistrict was because it didn't follow normal redistricting time frame.
Yeah.
I think my prediction is when this comes back up under a normal redistricting time frame, they will redistrict just like they said they were thinking about doing, and they will redistrict out every Democrat in the state. Because
I'm not sure that you can do that, but because first
it's
of all,
gerrymandering, but I think they'll do it.
well, the other situation they've got is that if you take Michigan City and move it into the 1st congressional district, 10 years ago I would have said that's an automatic to keep a Democrat. I'm not so sure about that anymore, because if you look at the numbers that voted in the last mayoralty race, significantly down in terms of number of Democrats, down in terms of Republicans, but not near as much as if you put the 3 Democrat candidates together that we had 6 years ago. So as a result of having lost all those Democrats, and yeah, some of them died, some of them moved, some of them just didn't vote, but that's a problem in terms of now Michigan City probably, if this keeps up 4 years, 8 years from now, could easily elect another Republican mayor.
It could. I think the redistricting map we saw is going to happen just at the appropriate time. I think what you just said, that is like voodoo planning, and to do that redistricting map is kind of a guess.
Yeah.
Because you don't know how things are going to shift. I think in 2028, we will have a good feeling on how things really shake out, because we know Trump's not on the ballot, and we're going to see the true number, and it probably more Republicans than there were before, and a few less Democrats, but it's not going to be the disparity we've seen.
Well, actually, the Republican numbers have gone down. They just haven't gone down near as much as the Democrats.
Yes. So we're going to see that in 2028, and I think that was appropriate that the legislature, took their foot off the pedal, and they realized this is not the time to do this. Let's pause and do this. So I think they did a good job.
The only thing I was upset about is I would have liked to have seen Michigan City go back into the 2nd district, which we were there for 100 years.
I agree.
Yeah.
That would be the appropriate place for us.
That would have been the easy one.
That would be an appropriate place for us. But, they had already, everyone was upset about it and made a stink about it, and it didn't happen. All right, anything last? This is, we hope everyone has,
Happy Valentine's
Day on Saturday if you're watching.
Dave, if you're hearing us, take your wife out to dinner. Buy her a new necklace, for crying out loud. Buy her a new car, do something.
You're getting Dave in trouble. Okay, with that, all right, we want to thank everyone for watching. Your input as to improvements or criticism of this program is greatly appreciated. Please contact Show's co-producers, Bob Pollock, Dave Beeler, or myself, Tony Hendricks, with your comments. You can email Bob at skrpollock@gmail.com. You can email Dave at dj1@hotmail.com, or myself at emailagm@yahoo.com, or you may direct your ideas for any future shows to our one and only staff writer, Sarah Bella. Showing our program will be on Saturday morning at 10 o'clock, and the Monday and Thursday evening at 7, and whatever time Andy gets to it. I apologize, I have not updated the YouTube site. Andy's going to give me the grief. I will try to do that here this weekend. So we can watch us on YouTube at 99 Navigate News Views. I'd like to thank you everybody for watching, and in Dave's honor, make it a good day.